Yeah. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Give all praises and all honor and all glory unto Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakaha Kodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. Right? To the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect. The elect, Shalom, to the Israelite foreigners, who phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold. Shalom to you sisters, your Achwathium, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. This your brother Aram Yahawada with the lesson. Yeah, fair use, fair use.
Charged with aggravated murder and is being held without bond for allegedly running over a deputy sheriff who the day before shot and killed his 18-year-old son.
I believe the thing is not he didn't kill the same cop that killed his son. He killed a different police officer when they heard his son had got shot by a cop, right? And so he seen another cop and basically ran him over. But the whole point to this too is we're in prison, right? This is where the Lord sent us for punishment, right? As Israel, man, the Lord sent us here as punishment, and this is how these people get down, man, right? Because they feel like they could just kill us, and basically there's no repercussions for them killing us, right? But if anything happened to a so-called white man or white woman, anything like that, man, it's hell to pay, right? So-called. But the Lord is raising up a spirit, right, in these last days, because the Lord is going to use these things to rouse up Jake, to rise up Israel, right? Yeah, so we're brought here into America for punishment, right? But the Lord said He's gonna raise up a spirit, right? So in this punishment, the Lord said these things will happen right here. It says Ezekiel chapter 21, verse 31, and I will pour out my indignation upon you, which is talking about to Jake, you so-called Israelites, right? Because we start worshiping other gods. We basically didn't put the Most High in our thoughts. We didn't meditate on the Lord, the law, statutes, commandments, day and night, like the Lord told us to. We start following the ways of the heathen, and this is the condition. This is the anger, the indignation, which means righteous anger, upon thee, which is talking about you Israelites, you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian. I will blow against thee in the fire of my wrath, and deliver thee into the hand of brutish men, right? Which we're here in America, Babylon the Great, and then wherever else you've been scattered, right? Under all these heathen, especially the Edomite, right? That's the main top number one heathen that we're under, right? He's a brutish man and skillful to destroy, right? He's very, very good at killing, man. That's his blessing, is the sword, right? The weapon. All the way from the sword to the modern day, arsenals, guns, missiles, drones, right? robots, right? Any killing thing, right? Even when you deal with biochemicals, right? Diseases. This is this guy's profession. He's good at trying to destroy you Israelites, man. That's what he do. I will pour out my anger on you. The fire of my fury will I blow on you. I will hand you over to brutal men, right? Which Esau Edom, the self-proclaimed so-called white man. He's very brutal, who are skilled in destruction, right? And that's what they've been doing. They've been destroying the ozone layer, destroying the planet, the ocean. They talk about there's trash in outer space, man. This dude destroys everything, man. And he's good at it, man. That's what he do, man. The son of perdition, man. Right? He definitely destroys. Right? But his thing is he hates you. So that's why he's a professional. That's why he killed the guy's son. This is what they do. Right? But this Jake was like, I'm not finna let that just slide, right? Yeah, because basically this is our prison. That's why the Lord put us in their hand. And as the Lord put us in the hand, because we have followed the ways of the heathen, worshiping other gods, and even the Lord said we would come here, right? You would go on ships, you go back to Egypt on ships, and you will serve gods that your fathers never knew. Wood and stone, going into that the cross, calling on so-called what they call Jesus Christ, right? Which goes back to Serapis Christus, right? Which that the image that they show you, it really is Pope Alexander the Sixth's son, which is Cesare Borgia, which was a man who lived and did all sorts of debauchery things, raping his sister, having sex with the same sex, right? Murdering his own brother, right? This is the image that they put up and tell you that's the Lord. And these are the things that you hold fast to, right? The cobblestone, calling on Allah, worshiping a rock. And the Lord said you will worship wood and stone here, right? And this is our punishment, right? And when you go to your punishment, Yahweh said, this is Ezekiel, no, Zechariah chapter 11, verse 4 says the prophecy of a shepherd of shepherds, says Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai said to me, act the part of the shepherd of the flock of the sheep. And right, you so-called black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, you're basically you're like the Lord liken you into sheep because you're very stupid and on top of that stubborn. You try to do your own thing, but sheep are a lot safer under control of the shepherd, right? Under control of the rod and the staff, which will be the scriptures, man, right? It'll comfort you, it'll keep you in line, right? But because you don't do that, shepherd of the flock of the sheep that goeth to be what? Butchered. And that's where you're at, man. You're in this place, Babylon the Great, and you're here. If you ain't following the law, statutes, commandments of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, right? You're setting yourself up to be butchered in this place, man. And the closer and closer we get to the race wars and things like that, which this thing is a thing that's brewing this thing up, right? Their owners, right, which are the international bankers, Esau, Edom, and ain't these regular peon Edomites. but the police work for them. That's the reason why they don't. That's why you don't see protect and serve on the vehicles anymore, because they're here for the interest of the wealthy, really, of white supremacy, right? So their owners kill them and go unpunished, right? So if this cop kills you, and thing, the most likely the Rothschilds, the Bilderbergs, the DuPonts, the Gettys, the Abraham, they got life insurance on you somewhere. So when you die, they still get paid, right? They got it all set up like that, man. So and then they basically want to get rid of you Jakes anyway, especially now that we're raising up and know who we are, right? And there's a certain thing that they want to push anyway. Problem, reaction, solution. So once all you people get to fighting Egyptian against Egyptian, they can bring in that new world agenda, right? That digital age, right? Right. So this is where it's actually technically heading. They sell the meat, right? Hey, in some cases, hey, that's what Abraham Finkelstein said, right? They sell the meat, right? Kill you, you take your children, butcher your children, right? You have missing children. You see all them pictures in Walmart, the missing children that you never see again, and you wonder how can a person be missing? The earth is only but so big, right? There's no way a little kid that has no money, no thing, no way that it just comes up completely missing. So, instead they're butchering the children and they're at your favorite fast food restaurants now. And we're not talking about enjoying the meal, we're talking about being the meal, right? They are the happy meal, right? That's what they say. Hey, and they sell their meat and say, "Praise the Lord, we are rich," right? And that's the international bankers. That's what Abraham Finkelstein was saying. He was bragging, right? Even their own shepherds have no pity on them, right? These bootlicking Jakes, like Michael Jordan and all these other so-called Oprah Winfrey and all these other, Jesse Jackass, steal your money sharply, right? Al Sharpton, your Crooklow Dollar, right? Right? Your what's it as? Well, the bottom, Mr. Bottom. Oh shit! Oh man! Don't forget Mr. Bottom. God dang. Holla dollar bottom, Mr. Bottom. What? Hey, let me keep going. Salakia. Says Yahweh said, "I will no longer pity anyone on earth," right? Which is not talking about anyone, because he's gonna pity the elect. He's gonna pity the righteous. But he's gonna take away all that it basically is gonna be gloves off for all you Jakes that just think you can go without. You got your own God and I got my own truth. When the Lord's basically it's gonna be gloves off. You're gonna go to the butcher, man, and that's what's happening. That young Jake was doing his own thing, but it's a beautiful thing too. That father was being a father, man. What else would you do? But at the same time, we're here as punishment. So then the Lord said, "I will no longer pity anyone on earth. I myself will put all people in the power of their rulers." So, hey, see, and that's what we're about to go in under. They're about to have a totalitarian, what's it called? draconian laws, but they need certain events to happen first, like a race war, right? And that's what this thing is going to lead up to, most likely. All these different events. These rulers will devastate the earth, right? And changing over the physical money to this digital money, and pressuring you by having no food on the shelves, right? And the only way you could buy and sell is you having the Karax Graffle is going to push, and it's going to devastate the earth, right? It's the only way you're going to be able to eat, right? Will devastate the earth and will not save it from their power, right? So, and then what's really, this is the Lord's movie, man. He wants these things to happen, right?
Police say Ryan Hinton was killed after brandishing a gun at police during a stolen vehicle investigation. A gun was found at the scene. There's no indication that he fired it. Now, this is the courtroom scene. But I want y'all to check out what happened as he was coming into court. Now, you see all of these cops surrounding him. But let me show you what happened before this as he walked in. Go to my iPad. This brother here was not, I mean, they stared him down. He stared them down. He didn't come to court with his head bowed. He literally, as he was walking into court, they were all standing out there. As a matter of fact, this looks like actually, as he was leaving court. This is the courtroom there. And what I'm trying to understand, and again, here's what I'm trying to understand. Scott, maybe you can help me from a lawyer's standpoint. Why are all of these cops in the courtroom standing behind him? They're not on duty. Guys, roll the video y'all played earlier. And I know people are allowed into the courtroom, but
look up New Life Demo.
This scene looks weird to me that he's surrounded by all of these deputy sheriffs. I'm just curious.
Yeah, it looks like it's a small courtroom. It's still a public proceeding, and given that one of their own was allegedly killed by this individual, they showed up. The only one person behind him that's really beside and behind two people who were there for security, which is not unusual. The rest of them are there to show solidarity for the loss of one of their own as a show of force. Also sending a message to the judge and anyone looking, right? And we don't want this idea, we don't want this to go south in regard to whether he gets let out on bail or otherwise. So it's a form of intimidation of the judge, of the defense attorney, as well as the prosecutor. But they're free to be there. You can see at least one of them has a cross over their badge, which is a signal of having lost one of their own. Now, he's free to stare down, we won't stare down. But that's all about intimidation and support. That's all that is. And that's what those organizations do. Vigilantism, if this is true, is never the answer. And he's going to get convicted if their evidence is sufficient. But at the same time, there's a lot of criminal justice system and how police officers
Mississippi and the Nation, Michael Corey Jenkins and Eddie Terrell Parker, two black men who were brutally tortured by a group of former cops known as the Goon Squad, have reached a $2.5 million settlement in their civil lawsuit against Rankin County Sheriff Brian Bailey. On January 24, 2023, 6 officers, 5 Rankin County deputies, and 1 Richland police officer raided a home in Braxton, Mississippi without a warrant. Jenkins and Parker were handcuffed, beaten, humiliated, subjected to racist abuse. Jenkins was shot in the jaw during a mock execution that went horribly wrong. All 6 officers have been convicted on both state and federal charges, serving a combined 132 years in prison. The original lawsuit sought $400 million under the settlement agreement. Rankin County will pay $500,000, while the county's insurance will cover the remaining $2 million. This is again a huge case. We covered this case, had Malik Zulu Shabazz, the attorney, on as well. It marks the largest settlement in Mississippi's history for a police case involving excessive force or municipal liability. And again, we'll see what happens. Look, I wouldn't be surprised if Donald Trump pardons these cops on their federal charges, because that's what we are seeing more and more of.
Hello.
Michigan. Don't worry about it. 38-year-old Denise Williams and her 6-year-old daughter Aaliyah went to Walmart to buy a TV. After leaving, the receipt flies out of Denise's bag. She doesn't realize it until she gets to the door. Trevor, the Walmart employee, stopped her, asked for purchase. She realized it was missing. She flagged down the cashier that had just processed the transaction. Cashier confirms it, but he is insisting that she cannot leave without a receipt. She's frustrated and determined not to cause a scene. Denise proceeded to her car and waved down a man in the parking lot to help to load the TV into her car. As they're doing that, Officer Lindsay Carter pulls up. She has a reputation of being overly zealous. She exited the vehicle with her hand already resting on the holster gun. Trevor called the police, claiming that she had stolen the TV and assaulted him on her way out. Officer Carter immediately confronted Denise, accusing her of theft and demanding that she put her hands behind her back. Denise, caught off guard, tried to explain that she had already paid for the TV and confirmed with the cashier, but Carter's tone grew increasingly aggressive. When Denise hesitated to comply with being handcuffed, pleading that she'd done nothing wrong, Officer Carter grabbed Denise by the arm, struck her in the ribs, and forced her to the ground, placing her in a chokehold as Denise gasped for air. Aaliyah, still seated in the SUV, watched in horror as her mother struggled. Panicking, she remembered the firearm her mother kept in the glove compartment for protection, a weapon Denise had taught her to handle safely. Acting out of fear and desperation, Aaliyah retrieved the gun, stepped out of the SUV, pointed it at Officer Carter, screaming for her to stop. When Carter turned toward Aaliyah and appeared to reach for her own weapon, Aaliyah fired a single precise shot, striking the officer in the eye. Carter collapsed to the ground dead. Aaliyah immediately dropped the gun and rushed to her mother's side, sobbing and begging for her to wake up. As Denise is regaining consciousness, more officers are arriving on the scene. They are both taken into custody, but after thorough investigation, they were cleared of any wrongdoing. They also watched the footage of her buying the TV. And Aaliyah is basically deemed the hero is justifiable as she acted in defense of her mother's life. Trevor. Baby, you work at Walmart. Even if you...
Yeah, come back here. It's Zechariah 11 and 7. So those who bought and sold the sheep hired me, and I became the shepherd of the sheep that were gone to the butcher, to be butchered, right? So, we're out there on the highways and the byways, and we're basically, we're fishing for the elect at the end of the day. Ultimately, that's ultimately what it is. You're fishing for the elect, right? Yeah, they were going to be butchered, and I took 2 sticks, right? I took 2 sticks, one called favor and the other called unity, and I took care of the flock, right? So that's what we're out there to do, right? Highways and the byways, right? Using these the scriptures, these digital epistles, the opportunity to take care of the flock, right? To bring them in, right? Yeah. So this is Ezekiel chapter 37, verse 15. The word of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakwadash, came again unto me, saying, moreover, son of man, take thee 1 stick, and write upon it for Judah and for the children of Israel and his companions. See, there's one stick, right? Keep going. Then take another stick, right? So now that's 2 sticks, right? And write upon it for Joseph the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel and his companions, right? And join them one to another, right? And one was called favor, right? And the other one's called what? Unity. So you're going to join them together. Join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thy hand, right? Yeah. So this is Zechariah chapter 9, verse 11. As for thee, right, you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, right, of Indian and Negro descent, those who come back, right, convert, come back, turn back to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, right, by the blood of thy covenant, right, starting with the time that Moses, right, the blood on the doorposts, the upper posts, side posts, so basically what is called the Passover, right, the exemption from judgment, right, which that thing is going to come, it's going to be all over again, but this time that blood is Yahushai, right? That exemption from judgment is believing, in the Father's Son, and the way the scriptures have said, right? Woolly hair, dark skin, but also done miracles, walked on water, healed, right? Died for his people, for their sins, right? These are the things we must believe in, right? According to the scriptures, as the scriptures have said, right? We're not going to come up with fairy tale Christianity who believes he looks like everybody. He's multiracial that looks like every race all at one time. 25% of his hair is woolly like black people hair. The other side's stringy like white people hair. The other side's in I don't know, dreadlocks and braids, and the other side is, I don't know, you got a piece of bald patch on one side. I don't know, because no one knows what he came on the earth in the flesh. He had a nationality, and it describes his nationality, describes his father, right? Describes his people, right? Right? Even the angels, their visages as coal. Solomon said, I'm black, right? Job said, my skin is black upon me, right? All these different things, hey, the transatlantic slave trade is in there. Joel 3. Deuteronomy 28:68. So obviously, hey, bro, it's this, right? Because you're here as punishment, right? It says, blood of the covenant, and sent forth thy prisoners out of the pit here in America, right? That's that pit. You're prisoners here in America, wherein there is no water, right? There's no answers, right? You don't understand that why the so-called white man hates you unless you come to the scriptures, unless we show you and teach you and guide you according to the Bible. This thing is a spiritual thing of why they hate you. You're not going to stop them. You're not going to march we shall overcome, and all of a sudden this devil's going to all of a sudden like you because you sung because you could sing good, right? Because you marched and you held hands, right? So like I said, it's not necessarily a thing to do, right? Being a vigilante. But I understand, right? Especially someone who's not spiritual. That's what you would do when you're not spiritual, right? And then you don't have no answers. You have no water. You don't have no answers. But the Lord said, turn you to the stronghold, ye prisoners of hope. So those who want to be prisoners of hope instead of prisoners of Babylon in the pit, which is Babylon the Great, the America, the daughter of Babylon, right? Be a prisoner of hope instead of that. Even to today, I do declare that I will render double for thee. Seeing you Jakes are not smart enough to realize there's a reward for you to return back to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, but you refuse to return back. You're going your own way, and when you're going your own way, you are led to the butcher, man. You're led to the slaughterer, which is Esau Edom. You're led, and that's why that young kid got shot and killed. Now, I don't know if he had a gun or not, because earlier they were talking about there was no gun when the cop shot him. Now they're bringing up saying that they found the gun, and they're trying to say he was in a stolen vehicle, but we don't know if that's true, right? Right? They say that all the time about a stolen vehicle or this and that. I know of stories of people saying, "Oh yeah, there was a stolen," and then they were like, "Wait, this is my car. This is not a stolen vehicle." Oh yeah, well we were looking for a suspect and you fit the description, so this is why I'm stopping you. And then later on you hear that the person they were looking for had totally different clothing. Yeah, the perp they were looking for had on blue jeans and a goddamn black shirt. You had on a white shirt and some goddamn black jeans or some, you know what I mean? Something totally different, but they'll pull you and say you fit the description and jam you up when whoever else is out there is running and getting away, right? As if, man, but let me keep going, because that, man, but you Jakes need to return, because the Lord said you double, right? So you're going to get rewarded greatly, but you don't want to turn. But that's why this is for the elect. It says, when I have bent Judah for me, right? And these are the times that this thing is going to cook up race wars, right? So ultimately, this is talking about how the Lord's going to strengthen the elect. But 2/3 of Israel, you're going to get it built up too, right? Right? And I will bend Judah for me and fill the bowl with Ephraim. See? And that's those two sticks coming together, right? Favor and unity, right? The two sticks, the two companions, Judah and all his companions, and Ephraim and all his companions, right? Filling that up, ready for these race wars, right? And raise up the sons of Zion, right? Which Tzion means to memorial. So the Lord's gonna kind of remember you being in this pit, in this condition, right? Against the sons, O Greece, against thy sons, O Greece, right? And we know who the Grecians are, right? Going to Alexander the Great, the self-proclaimed. Well, at that time they didn't even call themselves white, but we know that's what they do today. They call them self-proclaimed so-called white people, which are really Esau Edom, right? Against thy sons, O Greece, and make thee as a sword of a mighty man. Man, it's going to be like an expert, military expert, who are going to, the Lord decides who has the victories in a battle, in a war. So the Lord says, hey, you're going to have a ultimate victory, right? You know, Yeah, so this is Ezekiel chapter 25, verse 14. It says, I will lay my vengeance upon Edom, right? The self-proclaimed so-called white man is Esau Edom, right? That's his true nationality, is Edom, right? Esau being his father, which his father name got changed to Edom after eating the red porridge, right? Selling his birthright for the red porridge, right? Which is Idawam, right? Edom, right? Right, and that's why they're the Edomites, right? The descendants, just like when our father wrestled an angel, his name got changed from Yaiquab to Yasha'Allah, right? Which that's who we are. Which in I guess in the modern they call it Israel, right? Which is a watered down way of saying our name, which we're really Yasha'Allah, right? But people understand under these things is Israel, right? So it says, and I will lay vengeance upon Edom, which is self-proclaimed so-called white man, by the hand of my people Israel, right? Being that those two sticks are joined together. Judah, Ephraim, the so-called black man, and the so-called Hispanic and native tribes, right? We're going to join back together, right? And really we're Israelites, right? There's no such thing as black people, right? There's no such thing as a people that's called by their language, right? Right? Well, I guess so. We were called by our language, but we still were the Israelites, right? At the end of the day, they would call us the Hebrews, which is Hebrew is a language, but we were Israelites. I mean, you're just legitimately, just straight up, just calling yourself, I'm Latino. I'm Spanish or whatever. Well, those are languages. That can't be your nationality, right? But now we realize that we're the Israelites, so that's our nationality, coming from our Father, right? That's how it's always meant to be done, by the hands of my people. You, what they call so-called black, so-called Hispanic, right, are the Lord's people, right? And they shall do in Edom according to my anger. See, and it's not going to be our own anger. It's going to be according to the Most High's anger, right? The Lord's going to, basically, he's going to turn it up, man. He's going to give us his anger, right? And once we have that, there ain't no coming back from that, babe. There ain't no turning back. It's all over with, right? According to my anger and according to my fury, and they shall know my vengeance, saith Yahweh. See, and this is really the Most High's vengeance that's about to take place, right? And says, thus saith the Adawan power, the Most High Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakal Kadash, because the Philistines have dealt by revenge, right? And that's what the Lord is likening you Edomites to the Philistines, right? Right, which because that's going into those Palestine, which were actually supposed to be Hamites that's there, that they're wiping out that land, and that's ultimately what you're doing. You live in the land of the Philistines or Palestine, right? So you're taking over that land, you're wiping out those people, and you're in that land, which really belongs to the Israelites, or what you call Israelites was really Yasha'Allah, but you're in that land, and then you're wiping them fake Palestinians or those fake Philistines out of there, and you're taking on that land. So the Lord liken you unto the Philistines, Esau Edom. Esau Edom is basically the Philistines now, right? It's like another not that they are the Philistines. It's just he's likening them unto that landmass, right? Right. have dealt by revenge and have taken vengeance with despiteful hearts, right, which their minds, to destroy it for the old the old hatred, right? And that's what the Lord is liking you unto, the kind of like unto the Philistines, like another word. Like you're still the Edomites, but then we call this place also Babylon. We call this place Nineveh, Assyria. So these are the spiritual attributes that you have. That's a tag right along with, so we can know who the devil is. So when we go through the scriptures, we know exactly who you are. Matter of fact, let's get this scripture just to prove that. Yeah, so right here, just to prove that real quick. So Zechariah chapter 9, verse 6. And a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod, right, which is the chief place or port city. It's a port city right off where the water comes in, where you can dock off, from a ship. It's a port city, right? Major hub in what they call Israel and things like that now, right? And Ashdod, right, which would be, pretty much right there, right where Gaza, where the Philistines would have lived, right, which were Hamitic. They were dark Negro, almost Negro featured people, basically, which would be Hamites, right? So, showing that you basically you took over and you conquered that place, and will cut off the pride of the Philistines, which that's the Lord liken you unto the Philistines. That you're a bastard and you dwell in that land, but the Lord's going to cut off your pride, right? And then you try to, this stuff. A mongrel people will live in Ashdod, for I will greatly humiliate the Philistines, which is talking about you, Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed so-called white man, right? Yeah, so this is Job chapter 34, verse 28. So that they cause the cry of the poor to come unto him, Salakia. To come unto him, Salakia. And he heardeth the cry of the afflicted, right? Which the Lord's going to hear the cry of the elect, ultimately the elect. But all of Israel, right, is gonna cry in that day, right? Because it's gonna be right. It's gonna be hell on wheels, race wars, famine, death, pestilence. All these things is about to come, and we could see the ushering in through these little skirmishes that they're doing, right? And this thing can lead to a major. These things right here can lead to a major race war, which we believe that's what the Lord is doing. He's stirring up Judah, right? Stirring up the tribes. It says, and that's who the Lord's going to hear, the poor, ultimately dealing with the elect. But 2/3 is going to get busy too. They're going to do their thing. A lot of them are going to get killed. Their judgment is on their side, right? But the Lord's gonna, he's ultimately not gonna just let Esau go unscathed too, right? And this is more, says, when he giveth quietness, who then can make trouble? See, once the Lord raise you up, he gives that go ahead to make you the sword of a mighty man. Who could stop you? Who can go make trouble? Right? He's gonna be able to let you shut up the enemies, man. Right? The Lord give you that power to shut up your enemy. There's no one can take that back. They can't stop that from happening. right? And when he hideth his face, who can behold him, right? So once the Lord is about to take the gloves off, right? All this protecting America, which really the Lord's only protecting it for the elect's sake. Once the elect is sealed, man, all hell is about to break loose, man. Once the elect is sealed, all hell is going to break loose. That's when World War III is going to pop off. That's when the race wars, the riots, the things are going to happen. The stock market is going to crash, right? All these things are going to happen pretty much almost simultaneously, right? Right? Because they got to usher in their new world, currency, right? The digital all, and all these things are going to happen, but they have to most likely have some type of crisis or something going on. Whether they stirring up the fanners, the fanners is coming, or they manufacture something, some type of false flag event or something. But this could be the event. Very well could be what pops it off, right? Because when the Lord hide his face from this, America's definitely going to be finished, man. Once the elect is sealed, the Lord hide his face, who can behold him? Whether it be done against a nation, whether it be done against this nation, America, Babylon the Great, or against a man, you once it be done against you as an individual or entire nation. There's no getting the Lord to change his mind. He's cast judgment upon you because you have touched his little ones, right? So that hypocritical the hypocrite reign. The hypocrite reign not, lest the people be ensnared, right? And see, and that's ultimately what they're about to do. They're about to ensnare everybody, push forth the famine, basically force you to decide. You don't have to get the chick, but you're gonna starve, right? You don't have to get this micro C hip, but you're gonna starve. You don't have to get the micro C hip, but you won't be able to put any gas. You won't be able to move or function outside of anything else, right? So these are things it's gonna rouse all sorts of people up, right? Things are gonna happen, but it's a way they're gonna have to introduce it. Now this might be like I said, it might be a race war. These things may push things so they can problem, reaction, solution. All hell is breaking loose. People fighting. Somehow they're gonna basically shut off the lights, and then when they turn it back on, right? Like what they did over there in France and France, Portugal, and Spain. See, but this time when it comes back on, it won't be, because you got to think that was weird. How could they lose all power, lose all everything, internet, everything that they so-called said that they lost, but you could still use the ATM machine? Come on now, it doesn't make sense. Come on now. I can't use my cell phone, but I can use the ATM machine. You would have thought that would be the one thing you could use, is the phone, right? The thing's supposed to be off the satellite. Should be able to get a signal from the thing to the satellite. But they showed you they can shut off all this stuff, right? So it might be some type of false flag event, some type of thing. And I think a good thing is to have a big old, nice, good old race war where people are angry and you're too busy mad at the other people and being racist and fighting to realize the things that they're putting in place, right? Surely it is meet to be said unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakal, I have borne chastisement, see? And that's ultimately, really it's for the elect, right? I will not offend anymore, right? See? And that's ultimately the elect, man. We went through chastisement and we're like, oh Lord, I ain't trying to offend no more. But a lot of jakes, they're still going their own way. They're doing their own thing. Right? That's why you're led into the hand of the slaughterer or the butcherer. Right? Right into Esau Edom's, because that's the only way he can rule over you, to entrap you, ensnare you. Right? That's why he ensnares you into these into debt. So you have a debt, put a thing over your head, so then you always have to constantly work, you know, and pay off this debt and pay off this debt, and basically, like the scriptures say, man, you're subject to payment, right? It says that the next verse is 20, Job 34 and 32. That which I see not, teach thou me. And if I have done iniquity, I will do no more, right? See, that's really the elect, man. We're looking at the things that what the Lord is operating and the way things are happening. And you can see these things, man. Well, the hopeful elect, right? And well, which someone will be the elect. Somebody would. Should it be not according to thy? Should it be according to thy mind? Right. So the self-proclaimed so-called white man is about to get destroyed, right? Because the Lord, like I said, he hears the cries of the poor and the afflicted, man. So the Lord is going to judge this place, man. So should it be according to thy mind, self-proclaimed so-called white man? He will recompense it, right? So the Lord, all that affliction you have done to the nation of Israel, the Lord is going to recompense it. But should it be done according to your mind, right? So it's like, oh yeah. And that's why the Lord said, should you go altogether unpunished? Because that's how you think. You think you should just go unpunished. But should it be according to your mind? He will recompense it. Rather, you refuse, so you can refuse, get your military ready, do all these different things. You're gonna have your police dogs and your mechanical dogs. You're gonna have all your basically the whole what do they call it? The whole shebang, so to speak, man. Your laser weapons, your drones, your this and that, and then you're gonna cause some type of conflict, a false flag, something happens because you're allowing these police to do such a thing, and just grab up Jake, and then see, and something's gonna happen where the Lord is gonna raise up man. He's gonna raise up a standard, man, right? So you can get those Jakes who's not obeying the Most High, right? Which it just says you are going to grab some of the elect, or which the hopeful elect, which will be the elect, and behead them, right? So in that time, should the Lord not recompense it to you? Right? Whether it's according to your mind, should it be according to your mind? He will recompense it whether thou refuse, or rather thou choose. Hey, so whether you choose this, right? So and you're kind of doing both in a sense, you know. You're trying to prepare yourself for fighting, but then at the same time, you're trying to refuse to you're refusing to give over the kingdom, which I guess so. You shouldn't. You should fight. You should fight for your kingdom, and like the Lord said, and see if it goes well with you, right? Right? Bring out your monthly prognosticators and all the other stuff, and see if it goes well with you. It says, whether thou choose and not I therefore speak what thus knowest. It says, yeah, and I therefore speak what thou knowest. Right? Yeah, so this is Exodus chapter 3, verse 9. It says, now therefore, behold, which means feast your eyes, look, pay attention, the cry of the children of Israel is come unto me, which is the Most High, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakadash, and I have also seen the what? Oppression wherewith the Egyptians, which this place is spiritually Egypt, America, Babylon the Great, spiritually Egypt, the Egyptian oppressed them, right? And that's what you've been doing, right? Yeah. So this is 1 King chapter 8, verse 28. It says, yea, yet have thou respect unto the prayer of thy servant and to his supplication, O Yahweh, right? Basham, Yahweh Shai, Basham Rakakadash, my power to hearken unto the cry and to the prayer which thy servant prayeth before thee today, right? Even to this very day, right? Let me skip down. It says, when thy people Israel, right, you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, be smitten down, in which that's what they're going to bring. They're going to come down with great wrath, knowing that they have but a short time. But they're trying to bring this thing in by rousing up this racial tension. So this racial tension is going to pop off into a race war, right? And then a lot of Jakes are going to get smitten down. Because a lot of you don't know the Most High. You don't know Yahweh Basham Yahweh Shai, right? Smitten down, right, which means to be killed before the enemy, right? And that's what's coming in. The enemy shall come in like a flood, right? Esau, Edom. Because they have sinned against thee, right? Against the Most High, right? And shall turn again to thee, right? And that's ultimately what you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, and you Israelite foreigners, you phenotype may look like another nation, but your bloodline goes back to Israel, right? These things, it resonate with your spirit, man. You need to come back to the Most High immediately, fast, because that's what's about to go down, man. A lot of Jakes is finna get taken out, man. Even you ones that so-called look white, but your bloodline it goes back to Israel. The Lord still requires your sacrifice, right? Which is the Lord says that you're supposed to present your body as a living sacrifice, man. You're supposed to do righteousness all the time as a living sacrifice, right? You're supposed to believe in Yahweh Basham Yahweh Shai the way the scriptures have said, not in no earth pig, man. Not in no goddamn cobblestone or goddamn Sheba or whatever madness is out there, man. Your money, your woman, your car, right? You're obsessive about yourself. You think you're the most greatest thing that ever was created. But well, guess what? The Lord gonna put that to death, man. Right? I'm sexy, I'm handsome, I'm cute, I'm pretty. And what the Lord gonna show you, man, things are gonna be so cute in a minute, right? You're gonna be smitten before your enemy, right? Because they have sinned against thee, right? Because you sinned against the Most High, and shall turn again to thee, right? If you turn back to the Most High and confess thy name, right? And that's important to, hey man, hey, see what Bishop Nate's not doing. The first thing you're supposed to be doing is confessing the name and pray and make supplications, right? Hey, you're gonna beg, you're gonna plead, and you're gonna also talk about these conditions that the self-proclaimed white man left us in. How our woman is not our woman right now. She's our enemy. How we're in the ghettos, the barrios, and the reservations, and nobody don't give a damn, man. You make your supplications. You pray to the Most High. Please forgive me. Forgive me for my sins. Right? All right? I went into a way, to wayward doctrines. I didn't know. I thought they were good for me, but come to find out, hey, man, it just leads you to death. Right? You talk to the Lord. Unto this house, right, which is basically with the nation, we're Yasha Allah, right, which in this modern term they call it Israel, right? It says, then hear thus in heaven and forgive the sins of thy people Israel, which is Yasha Allah. Forgive thy people Yasha Allah, and bring them again unto the land which thus giveth unto their fathers, right? Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, right? Or Yaquab, which that's, hey, bro. See, the Lord said he'll give us double. So why ain't you returning back? See, but 2/3 got to get cut off, right? But we're coming into some heavy times. It says when heaven is shut up, there is no rain because they have sinned against thee. And see, and you're coming to a time where they're going to make man-made famines, basically. Right? Because this whole thing with the so-called tariffs and this and that is really all a man-made famine that they're doing. They're orchestrating it, but it's gonna cause us, right? It calls us all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive that mark, the charagma, grapho, in their right hand or in their forehead or in their left hand. It don't matter, left hand, right hand, right? Because the next scripture is 14. Revelation 14:9, it says hands, plural, hands, plural, right hand, left hand. And I believe it does the same thing. I think it's in 20. Revelation 20. I believe it says hands. But yeah, there's a couple times it says hands in there. Just type in hands, right? When it talks about the mark of the, what, right? Right? So, yeah. Let's keep on going before I go into some other things. But yeah, it says, because they have sinned against thee, if they pray towards this place, right? That's why we face and we pray towards the east, towards the temple where Solomon had built, even though it's so-called lay waste. We're praying that the Lord build it back up, starting with through us, because what? We are the temple. So the Lord, we're gonna face the east, and Yahweh Shai being our high priest, and we're gonna pray and ask for forgiveness, man. Right? And confess, right? Going back to the name, toward this place, and confess thy name, right? Yahweh, right? Which that's the name of the Father, which means he is, or the existing one. Yahweh, Bahasham, which means in the name. Yahweh Shai, which means he delivers, or he's salvation, right? Yahweh Shai, he's salvation, right? Right? So that's the name we pray in. Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah HaKodash, right? And turn from their sins when thus afflicteth them, right? Put us in the ghettos, the vadios, the reservations, and now it's about to turn into a famine, a race war. It's about to be all sorts of calamities out here, right? It says, then hear thou in heaven and forgive the sins of thy servants and of thy people Israel, right? It's the modern term Israel, but it's actually Yasha Allah, right? He, Prince of Power, right? He, Prince of God. That thus teach them, right? Going back into that teach, teach them the good way wherein they should walk, and give rain upon the land which thou hast given to thy people for an inheritance, man. So we're going to go back into that land that these devils are in, right? Which are known as they're Edom, but the Lord refers to them spiritually as the Philistines, man, right? Yeah. So what you want to do is you want to pray. You want to pray to the Most High Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, for forgiving you for worshiping all these different idols. See right here, it says Jeremiah 51:17, every man is brutish by his knowledge, right? So you think you're smart, you're this and that. I know the 33 confessions of the Metaneta, or whatever, the madness, the Book of the Dead. I'm Quran. I'm a Christian, and all I do is read. I believe in the Bible, but all I ever read is just the New Testament, and I only read John 3:16 and Jesus wept, or whatever, madness. And then you just constantly call him Jesus when it's already been proven that the letter J is only 400 to 500 years old, so it couldn't possibly be Jesus, right? So the whole madness that you believe in, it's brutish, it's stupid. It's just completely, it's right. It's just dumb, and every founder is confounded, right, by the graven images and the molten images is falsehood. So all the things that you believe in anyway right now, they're all falsehoods. So we have proven that. So just basically that's what you want to do. You want to pray to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai and tell him, ask you to forgive you for believing in all these falsehoods. They're all falsehoods. And there is no breath in them, right? There's no breath in the picture of Cesare Borgia. There's no divine divinity of things that could save you taking the charagma, man. What benefit is it going to be for you to take the charagma, because you can't buy or sell unless you have this MARK of a beast system that's failing, that the Lord said he's about to take out of here anyway. This is the reason why they have to do it, because they're failing. They failed when they were the Greeks. They failed when they were the Roman Empire. The deadly wound was healed, and they came back, and they still failed. They did the exact same thing that they did prior to before. So what make you think you're gonna get the MARK and things are gonna be better? Right? That's crazy. They're failures. It's just, there's no breath in it. Right? There ain't no life. The scripture. This is that breath. Right? The tawah, the unction, right? The smearing, the oil, right? The true revenue is the scriptures, the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and they are vanity. the work of error, right? You're going to do nothing but go into a bunch of error, right? And the Lord's going to destroy you. You keep going the way that you're going, right? Right? In the time of their visitation, they shall what? Perish. And that's what that young man went through, man. Now, I don't know if he was really in a stolen car, because they said he was into football. Normally, when you're into sports and things, you do things to keep yourself out of trouble so you can keep playing. Because I know that's how I was when I was in school. You know, I wanted to play ball. You stayed out of trouble so you could keep playing ball. Because then, not to mention, they said there was no gun. Then they said it is a gun. So, I mean, what's the proof of any of these things? Because this is the type of thing we know them to do. So, even if he did have it, it's still hard to believe that he truly had it. We don't know if he planted it or not. So, you got to understand the situation where it's hard for, you know, for a certain demographic of people to believe that you're upholding the law righteously. When you come on now, and you're talking about pardoning all these different police officers and sheriffs and all these different people from doing heinous things towards people. So this is why this father, he took his thing, it matters, into his own hands, right? Which he shouldn't, because ultimately this goes let the Lord be vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. But at the same time, you got to think two-thirds of these people, they don't got the hope. They don't got the hope of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. So they're gonna do what they gotta do. They're gonna do what they're gonna do. But see, the whole thing about that is those who come back and you get off from that, because you didn't do nothing, you're just gonna perish if you don't get off from that. See, but this is what the true the elect, or the hopeful elect, the children of Israel, children of God. It says the portion of Jacob, right, which really name is Yaquab, right, is not like them, for he is the former of all things. Man, everything that they do on a day-to-day basis came from so-called black people, right? Everything that they do on a day-to-day basis, right, was created by our ancestors, man, right? You know, it says Israel is the rod of my inheritance, right? Because ultimately we were meant to rule over this entire world from the beginning, right? From the time of Adam, which by process of elimination, we're related to Adam, which the second Adam came, which is ultimately Yahushai, which was the first Adam in the first place, who restored everything back to the Father through himself into the Father, so that we could inherit the kingdom of heaven through him, right? Which we're gonna have that rulership all over again, right? But this time in righteousness through Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai and his inheritance, Yahweh, right, of hosts, which means armies, is his name. See, and you got to have that name, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, right? And so, through these race wars, the calamities, these things that they're gonna be doing, right? And you're gonna have to, hey, and the Lord's gonna raise up the elect. It says, "Thus are my battle axe and weapons of war," right? And that's what time we're coming in. We're coming in a time of war and not peace. This ain't no time to be worried about America's finna go on forever. We don't got time for your little charagma, your karaks, your grapho. We don't got time for that. This is a time of war, right? For with thee will I break in pieces the nation. See, not just one nation. All the nations are going to get broken pieces by the elect, right? So we're not worried about the madness, the little BS, but we know 2/3 the things is going to cook up, man. Right? And with thee will I destroy kingdoms, right? Yeah, so this is Genesis 49:8. Judah, thus art he whom thy brethren, right, which to all the other tribes, right, the other 11 tribes are going to follow behind Judah, which is the so-called African American man, right? Something's going to happen. You see how they have this thing that shot his son. He crashed, and then Jake's looking at it like, heck yeah, man. Look how he looked at the cops. Look how because look how long they've been getting away with these type of things. And the more Trump pushed this narrative that these cops are gonna do stuff to and get away with it, the more there's gonna be more Jakes that's gonna say, hey, we ain't gonna have that. We're not gonna let that happen, right? Whom thy brethren shall praise, thy hand shall be in the neck of thy enemies, right? See, and that's ultimately what's gonna happen, man. Jake ain't finna keep lying down, right? That ain't gonna keep happening. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee, right? Right. Ultimately, that's in the kingdom, but even now, Jake do certain things, everybody pretty much follows. Jake, the one who made Michael Jordan's popular, wearing jerseys and wearing your cap sideways and backwards, and you know what I mean, rap music and this and that, and pretty much everything that they do, they try to get a Jake to try to, you know, endorse it, to make it popular, right? You know, and it says you know, yeah, because pretty much all the things, blues, jazz, rock and roll, all those styles were created by Jake, right? Which would be Judah, right? And it says but yeah, Judah is a lion's whelp, for the prey from the prey, the lion's whelp from the prey. My son, thus are gone up, right? During the time of the 60s, right? They started doing the 60s and the 70s. They had the Black Panther movements, and they had all these different movements, these things. And then, even back then, the rest of the tribes got involved. You had the Brown Beret, you had the Indian movement, and that was after Jake had rose up, right? So, but then that thing, it kind of basically died down, right? He stooped down and crouched as a lion, right? Like a lion's about to pounce, but as a old lion, who shall rouse him up? So Jake's been this docile type of lion. Like he's a lion, but he's been like a docile lion for a while. But these events that's happening is about to rouse him up. So he's saying, who should rouse him up? And ultimately, that's the Most High. The Most High is rousing Judah up, and then the rest of these tribes are going to follow. Right? And so, with all that, I want to give all praises and all honor and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah HaKodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well, the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists in the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, Shalom, to the Israelite foreigners whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold. Shalom to you sisters, you Akwathium, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence, and above all, Kwame Yasharala.